Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee, and today I'd like to discuss 4 personal virtues that I believe influence my character as an educator. I would also like to discuss how these 4 individual virtues help me to create an inclusive classroom and how each of these virtues connects to my role within the classroom. Firstly, I possess the moral virtue of honesty, the intellectual virtue of reflection, and the performance virtue of determination, and lastly, the civic virtue of civility. As an educator, honesty ensures that families and students build a relationship of trust with me to advocate for their students and what is best for their unique needs. I do this by open forms of communication and establishing a sense of trust and respect. This foundation bases my relationships as an educator on trust, benefiting my students by making them feel safe, valued, and respected. Honesty also aligns with my Christian worldview and what the Bible teaches in Proverbs 12:22, saying, "The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy." This verse is a solemn reminder, especially to us as educators, that trustworthiness is an important part of serving others. Reflection is a virtue that allows me to evaluate my own teaching practices and how I handle different situations that arise within the classroom. This encourages me to better myself and to be constantly looking for better ways to consider situations, involve students, and to take the best course of action that is most aligned with developmentally appropriate practice and research-based strategies. Reflection allows each of us as educators to make thoughtful decisions that prioritize students' well-being and our responses to their decisions. Next, I hold a great deal of determination. This virtue is an amazing to have in the classroom because it helps me personally to stay committed to a student in meeting specific goals, no matter the academic, social, emotional, or physical barriers that may occur. This is important to have as an educator, to prove to each student that you will not give up in helping them succeed and grow in their education and reach their full potential. Lastly is civility. Civility helps me to engage with students, families, and other staff members positively without conflict, when conflict arises. According to Education World, teachers can model conflict resolution by demonstrating respectful communication, active listening, and problem-solving strategies. As educators, we each model this within the classroom, and students learn from how we handle the conflicts that arise. Next, I believe that reflection and civility are the most critical virtues in my role as an educator. As a teacher, my calling is to serve students and families by honoring their dignity in support of their needs academically, socially, emotionally, and even spiritually. Reflection encourages us as educators to continuously examine our beliefs, our decisions, and our interactions within the classroom. This makes us better educators to better our own practices and interactions for our students. We are able to recognize their worth and to create responsive learning experiences emphasized by the National Association for Education of Young Children. Civility, in comparison, reflects that promoting a respectful and inclusive environment benefits students' learning by ensuring that they are heard, valued, and respected. Character. I've always believed that character is not just how our virtues and morals are formed and acted out, but that it is who we each are individually when we're alone. So when we discuss character formation, I believe it involves offering students the ability to practice the character formation. I believe it involves um, necessary skills for making ethical choices. Through creating meaningful relationships with students, fostering environments where children feel supported and respected, and through responsive teaching, I can do what the National Association for Young Children highlights as important principles to develop character formation. Next. So for strategies that I would like to implement to foster character formation, first, I believe that modeling the virtues and characteristics that I believe are important for a student to have is at the utmost importance. So it's my job to model that to them. We cannot live what we teach if we expect them to. We can't live what we teach, then we cannot expect our students to do the same. We are the prime example for our students on upholding our virtues and showing them examples of good character. Secondly, I believe that by implementing intentional classroom experiences helps students to practice virtues in a positive environment that is controlled and in teachable situations. Through collaboration and group interactions, students are able to practice positive communication, practice patience, encourage empathy, and work on problem solving skills. If a student is unsure of the moment, the teacher may then model and teach appropriate skills rather than focusing on consequences or pointing out what the student did wrong. We see the same intentionally in implementing, we see the same intentionality in implementing character-rich songs and music into the classroom, as seen in a study that I'm going to link of junior high students in Indonesia. So it's very adaptable to early childhood education or really anything in education. And then lastly, I believe that connecting what we learn to our real life experiences teaches students how to use these skills in the real world. By having them participate in things like classroom jobs and group activities, they're able to feel encouraged and learn responsibility. They also are demonstrating respect and compassion to others, and this helps students to better understand their actions and how their actions impact others. Lastly, some specific resources that I would like to dive deeper into and I think are very beneficial to this subject. The article, How is Virtue Cultivated? 7 Strategies for Postgraduate Character Development. This gives incredible insight into how to continue my own personal character development. Firstly, it discusses Aristotle's idea that virtues of character must emerge through habit and not just from teaching or reading it somewhere. We have all heard saying, practice makes perfect. And that is basically what it all boils down to. The next strategy discussed that I think I already practice regularly is through self-reflection. This helps me to understand why and how I'm acting and reacting in specific circumstances. And the same as we would try to understand a student's behavior and try to understand their actions, we should use the same tools on ourselves. And then once we have understood, we can address any issues to better ourselves. Overall, there are many different strategies in this article that any individual can benefit from for furthering their character development. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me discuss these different ways that I can develop as an educator to benefit my classroom. By using intentional practices like self-reflection, I'm able to better develop an inclusive, understanding, and respectful classroom environment that recognizes the dignity of each student. I hope this is beneficial to you as much as it was to me. Thank you.